or the overriding objective today is to, we hope to address how technology has transformed the media and news world, and whether in these changes, whatever, the new definitions of media may be, can it be an agent of social change?
Media studies indicate that media's tolerance and acceptance of diversity is determined by its audience willingness to access a different perspective and viewpoints. Considering the prevailing and deeply rooted ideology and biases towards other people and other ideology, do the media have the courage and the wish to move beyond their audience's accepted stereotype of other people and their culture? Do the Islamic world and the Western world have the space to freely express themselves? Does the Western media or the Arab media have the ability to facilitate a two-way dialogue or two-way communication? For example, in their coverage of the ongoing Afghan war and Iraqi war, do the media play a role of spreading or deepening stereotype of people, or they help the world understand each other? Can the media promote a tolerance and acceptance of a totally different culture? Should the media promote their own culture and value system as a universal value or universal culture? Or should the media promote a common ground by seeking shared culture and shared value so that people could live in harmony with differences? Facing poverty, diseases, and wars, our enemies are not other people who live differently from us. Our enemies are our ignorance, our intolerance, our misunderstanding, and our mistrust of the other people. Using our value system as criterion for political correctness, our media are fictionalizing our imagined enemies with demonizing stories. In many cases, in recent decades, media have become a catalyst in breeding hatred and fueling divide, violence, and war. Mankind is one big family. Human beings have different cultures, different beliefs, different ideologies, different consensus, and different democratic systems. If you respect the culture and human beings of other people, you need to recognize that the other people have the wisdom to make valuable political decisions by themselves. Peoples with different consensus and ideologies are not automatically becoming enemies. But in journalism practice, no media could survive by being neutral. It is a common sense to media managers that it will be a suicide to be objective or neutral in reporting, because all media must please their audiences with their anticipated news and views. Can mankind become smarter with the new media? Can mankind be united with dialogue journalism? Can human beings go back to their open-minded, innocent childhood? If not, what would happen to our human society or our world in the brave new world, new media world? Will our human beings close our minds deeper to each other, and our human society is going to be further divided? Thank you.
Far more people today are opinion columnists than are journalists. Journalism, for me, is something very different from blogging, and I think blogging is a valuable activity, of course, to talk about how you think the world should change and policy changes and things that you think should happen. But that's a very different thing from journalism, which at its best, involves exactly the things that the professor was speaking about. Striving for neutrality, looking for high quality, looking to report the facts as best you can honestly. Within Wikipedia, one of the old sayings, this is something that very similar to what you were saying, one of the old sayings within our Wikipedia community is write for your opponent. It's this idea of recognizing that when you're writing something, that you need to take into account that other people will not agree with you, and that this is not an open free speech forum. This is an attempt to build an encyclopedia, and that there are many other people who are going to be involved in editing what you've written. And if you want your writing to survive, you really have to be concerned about neutrality. that's unique in a certain sense to Wikipedia. I think that one of the issues that we face today is that much of what we're imagining as passing for new media or something that we're hoping is going to replace or somehow rescue us from the disaster that's going on in journalism right now, it's just not happening. This is not what blogs are good for. This is not what they're ever going to be good for, in my opinion. So I think that this kind of change is something that we should all be very deeply concerned about.
But the thing that's happened is that everyone has become a commentator, and for me, I'm having to adjust to a new world where the old media, if you like, the media that I grew up in and was trained in, is disappearing, and it's a difficult adjustment. Robert Fisk was on my show with me recently, and he put me to shame. He said, "Look, being neutral, there's no more space for being neutral. There's no more space for sitting there and not having an opinion on something because there is a clear right or wrong." And of course, this goes against everything I was trained to do. And the thing is, words easily twist. It's very easy, just by missing a word or adding a word, to make something mean something totally different. I always tell the story of an elderly lady who was in Central Park and she was attacked by a dog. And this young man walking through shooed off the dog, scared off the dog. And so this reporter found out about it and said, I want to do a story on this. And he tracked down the man. He said, "I can see the headline now. Local boy saves elderly woman from dog attack." And the guy said, "Actually, I'm not a local boy. I'm just visiting New York." He said, "No, okay, no problem. I see the headline now. American hero saves elderly woman from dog attack." He said, "Actually, I'm not American. I'm studying here. I'm actually Arab. I'm from the Middle East." And the headline the next day said, "Local dog attacked by Arab terrorist." So it's very easy to change the perspective on a story. But I think we're having to adjust to a world where information travels much faster, and not everyone is perhaps qualified to transmit it. We just have to learn to filter it a lot more effectively.
I found in recent years, Chinese film industry increased a lot, 30% every year. Yesterday, I got a call from China. New film is called The Founding of a Republic. They told me the box office will reach the $70 million US. Yeah, this is the new record. Just like Transformer this year, several months ago. So the Chinese film market is bursting. And the whole media industry, I got a number that from since 2001 till now reached $51 billion US till last year, and expected to reach $70 billion US in 2010. Yeah. So we often discuss that with my friends in America. So recently, I persuaded the Silver Lake, a PE firm based in Silicon Valley, to come to China. They invite me to be their special advisor to discover the opportunities, in particular the technology-driven media business in China. So I think the media business market in China is a gold mine. So there's a lot of the opportunities. The Chinese media market is huge, is big, but it's still under development. So I think China needs the technology, world-class technology, and the experiences, and the channels, and just like Louis mentioned, marketing, brand. So have a lot of opportunities to work with the people, talent people, the industry in America and the world. So, so I think I feel very optimistic and very confident about the Chinese media market.